9 evident signs that there is an evil person next to you. Wisdom, life lessons. Welcome to Stoic in your life. You're someone who strives to live with integrity, but it's vital to recognize that not everyone around you shares that same commitment to goodness. Our desire to see the best in people can sometimes cloud our judgment, making it hard to accept that some thrive on causing disruption, lacking any real sense of empathy. It's uncomfortable, but the reality is that even those we hold close can be the source of our deepest anxieties. We might think we're skilled at spotting negativity, yet it's often the subtle discrepancies between someone's words and actions that slip under our radar. In today's video, we'll uncover 9 unmistakable signs that an evil presence might be lurking close to you. Understanding these signs isn't just about avoiding harm. It's about cultivating a resilient mindset and maintaining your inner peace amidst life's inevitable chaos. As we dive into this crucial topic, do me a favor. If you find value in this content, hit that subscribe button and make sure you stay with me till the end. By being here, you're already setting yourself apart from the crowd. You're seeking the knowledge that many overlook, and every insight we discuss could be a game changer for you. Remember, it's not always the obvious acts of aggression that reveal a harmful person. Sometimes it's their quiet satisfaction in someone else's struggles that betrays their true nature. 1. Deriving pleasure from others' misfortune. Life has a way of placing us in close proximity to people whose true intentions remain hidden beneath a veil of normalcy. As you navigate your personal and professional lives, it's essential to be vigilant about the company you keep, especially when subtle signs suggest that not everyone around you wishes you well. In today's discussion, we'll uncover 9 evident signs that there may be a malevolent presence nearby, an individual who, whether through malice or mere disregard, seeks to disrupt your peace. Armed with the wisdom of Stoic philosophy, we'll explore how to identify these toxic traits and, more importantly, how to fortify your resilience against them. One of the most telling signs that someone in your life harbors ill intent is their quiet satisfaction when others falter. It's a subtle but insidious trait, deriving pleasure from others' misfortune, a stark indicator of a lack of empathy, which stands in direct opposition to the values espoused by Stoicism. As the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Those who find joy in the struggles of others reveal the dark hue of their inner world. This isn't just a minor flaw, it's a reflection of a deeper, more dangerous mindset. In today's fast-paced and competitive world, where we often measure our success against the failures of others, it's easy to dismiss such behavior as part of the game. However, Stoicism teaches us to rise above this pettiness and to cultivate a mindset of empathy and compassion. When you encounter someone who seems to delight in the misfortunes of others, take it as a red flag. This person's pleasure in another's pain is not just a harmless quirk. It's a signal that they may be fundamentally unsound in character, and their influence on your life can be profoundly destructive. In modern times, when personal and professional relationships are often built on fragile foundations, it's crucial to recognize that such malevolent joy is a warning sign. This isn't merely about them being unpleasant to be around. It's about how their attitude can permeate your life, sowing seeds of distrust and negativity. The Stoics remind us that we are the product of the company we keep, and allowing such a person close to you can begin to erode your own values. Seneca wisely noted, "He who is brave is free." And true bravery in this context means having the strength to distance yourself from those who wish others harm, regardless of how subtle or concealed their ill will may be. Expanding on this, consider how the modern workplace often encourages competition to the point of fostering toxic environments. Here, you might encounter colleagues who celebrate when a peer's project fails or when someone is passed over for a promotion. This kind of environment, if left unchecked, can corrode the moral fabric of a team, leading to a culture where backstabbing and underhanded tactics become the norm. In your personal life, too, beware of friends or even family members who seem to relish in the downturns of others' lives, perhaps under the guise of just being honest, or telling it like it is. Such individuals may disguise their cruelty as concern, but their true nature often reveals itself in moments of others' vulnerability. The Stoic approach to such situations is clear. Recognize the signs and act accordingly. It's not enough to simply be aware of these individuals. You must also take steps to protect yourself from their influence. This doesn't mean responding with anger or stooping to their level. It means exercising discernment and maintaining your emotional distance. Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. By recognizing the subtle signs of a toxic person and choosing to disengage from their negativity, you preserve your own inner peace and integrity. In today's digital age, where social media often amplifies the worst in people, it's more important than ever to be vigilant. The pleasure that some take in the misfortunes of others is often on full display online, whether in the form of trolling, gloating, or schadenfreude. This is not just a harmless pastime. It's a reflection of deeper societal issues and the erosion of empathy. As you navigate this landscape, remember the Stoic principle of focusing on what is within your control. You cannot change the nature of these people, but you can choose not to engage, to remove yourself from their toxic influence, and to seek out relationships that are grounded in mutual respect and genuine care. Moreover, consider how this principle applies not just to others, but to yourself. It's easy to fall into the trap of taking pleasure in others' failures, especially in a world that often equates success with the downfall of others. But true Stoic wisdom lies in understanding that our greatest triumphs come not from the defeat of others, but from our own internal victories. Marcus Aurelius advised, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." By cultivating empathy and resisting the urge to indulge in negative emotions, you become not only a better person, but also a beacon of positive influence for those around you. As you continue on your journey through life, pay close attention to those who surround you. If someone consistently derives pleasure from the misfortunes of others, take it as a clear sign that their influence may be harmful. Use the wisdom of the Stoics to guide your actions, respond with calm detachment, protect your peace, and strive to be a force for good in a world that often forgets the value of empathy. Your path to a more resilient, fulfilling life begins with the choices you make about the people you allow into your inner circle. Remember, it's not just about avoiding harm. It's about nurturing a life that reflects the best of Stoic principles: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. 2. Emotional manipulation. Have you ever found yourself feeling inexplicably guilty after interacting with someone, even though you haven't done anything wrong? Perhaps you've noticed a pattern where this individual frequently plays the victim, twisting situations to make it seem like they're always on the receiving end of some injustice and you're somehow responsible. This tactic, known as emotional manipulation, is a common tool used by those who seek to control others for their own gain. It's subtle, often wrapped in the guise of needing support or sympathy, but its impact can be deeply corrosive. By constantly shifting blame onto you or others, these manipulators craft a narrative where they are perpetually wronged, forcing you into a position where you feel compelled to apologize, to make amends, or to shoulder burdens that were never yours to bear. Stoicism, with its focus on emotional resilience and rationality, offers powerful guidance in dealing with such toxic behavior. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus wisely advised, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." This is especially relevant when facing emotional manipulation. The Stoic approach teaches us that our emotional well-being should not be held hostage by the whims of others. Instead, we are encouraged to cultivate inner strength, recognizing that while we cannot control how others behave, we can control how we react. When someone attempts to make you feel guilty or responsible for their unhappiness, it's crucial to pause and assess the situation with a clear mind. Ask yourself, is this person genuinely seeking support, or are they trying to manipulate my emotions to serve their own agenda? Consider a modern example from the workplace. where emotional manipulation is all too common. Perhaps you have a colleague who consistently fails to meet deadlines, yet whenever confronted, they spin a story of overwhelming personal difficulties, subtly suggesting that any pressure you apply makes you the villain. They may even garner sympathy from others, leaving you feeling isolated and unjustly criticized. Over time, this can erode your confidence and make you question your own actions, all because one person is using emotional manipulation to avoid accountability. The challenge, then, is how to navigate such situations without falling into the trap of feeling guilty or responsible for someone else's failings. The answer lies in maintaining emotional independence, as Stoicism teaches. Instead of reacting impulsively to their manipulations, take a step back and consider the situation from a rational perspective. What is the real issue at hand? Are their grievances legitimate, or are they simply deflecting their own shortcomings onto you? By approaching the situation with clarity and composure, you can protect yourself from being drawn into their web of manipulation. In personal relationships, too, emotional manipulation can take a heavy toll. Imagine being in a relationship where your partner constantly blames you for their unhappiness, suggesting that if only you acted differently, they wouldn't be so miserable. Over time, you might start to believe them, altering your behavior in an attempt to keep them content, all the while losing sight of your own needs and desires. This is a classic scenario where emotional manipulation can lead to a loss of self-esteem and autonomy. But here's the important question. Should your sense of self-worth be dictated by someone else's emotional whims? Stoicism encourages us to build a foundation of inner strength, where our emotions are guided by reason, not by the manipulations of others. Marcus Aurelius, another great Stoic, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This quote underscores the Stoic belief in the power of personal agency. No one has the right to make you feel guilty or responsible for their emotional state, especially when they're using that guilt as a means to control you. By recognizing the signs of emotional manipulation, you can reclaim your power, ensuring that your actions and emotions are aligned with your values, not with someone else's agenda. Let's take this a step further. In today's world, where social media often magnifies emotional expression, it's easy to encounter people who use their platforms to garner sympathy through exaggerated tales of victimhood. They may not be directly targeting you, but their constant portrayal of themselves as wronged or oppressed can create a toxic environment where emotional manipulation becomes normalized. This can spill over into your interactions, making you feel compelled to offer support or validation, even when you know deep down that something doesn't feel right. How do you protect yourself in such a pervasive atmosphere of manipulation? The answer lies in setting clear boundaries, both online and in your personal life. Stoicism teaches us that we must guard our peace of mind, and this often means distancing ourselves from those who seek to disturb it. It's not about being cold or unfeeling. Rather, it's about recognizing that your emotional health is your responsibility. Just as you wouldn't allow someone to physically harm you, you shouldn't allow them to emotionally manipulate you either. By practicing emotional detachment, responding to situations with calm, reasoned thought rather than knee-jerk reactions, you can maintain your inner equilibrium and avoid being drawn into the emotional turmoil of others. In closing, remember that emotional manipulation is a powerful, yet insidious tool used by those who lack empathy and seek to control others. Whether it's in the workplace, in personal relationships, or even in the broader context of society, the ability to recognize and resist such manipulation is crucial to maintaining your mental and emotional well-being. Stoicism provides us with the tools to do just that, urging us to cultivate emotional independence and rational thinking. So, next time you find yourself feeling unjustly guilty or responsible for someone else's problems, pause and reflect. Is this guilt truly yours, or has it been imposed upon you by someone seeking to manipulate your emotions? By asking yourself this question and applying the wisdom of the Stoics, you can protect your peace of mind and live a life guided by your own principles, not by the manipulations of others. 3. Quick temper. Have you ever found yourself tiptoeing around someone, constantly worried that the slightest comment or action might set them off? Perhaps you've seen how a minor inconvenience, like being stuck in traffic or receiving a late email, can cause them to explode with anger. This quick temper, this tendency to overreact to the smallest issues, is not just a sign of impatience. It reveals a deeper problem, one that Stoic philosophy teaches us to be wary of. A person who reacts excessively to minor annoyances shows a clear lack of self-control, and this lack of self-control can have a corrosive effect on everyone around them, including you. But why is this so dangerous, and what can we learn from it? Stoicism, a philosophy founded on the principles of rationality and emotional resilience, emphasizes the importance of mastering our emotions to maintain inner peace. The Stoics believed that our ability to remain calm and composed in the face of life's challenges is not just a mark of strength, but a fundamental aspect of living a good life. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus famously said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When we encounter someone who is quick to anger, we're not just seeing a momentary lapse in judgment. We're witnessing a person who has not yet learned to govern their own emotions. This inability to control their temper can lead to destructive behavior, damaging relationships, creating unnecessary conflict, and spreading negativity like a virus. Now you might wonder, why is it so crucial to identify and understand this behavior in others? The answer lies in the impact that such individuals can have on your own life. Imagine working closely with someone who is constantly on edge, ready to snap at the first sign of trouble. This creates an environment where everyone walks on eggshells, where honest communication is stifled, and where stress levels are perpetually high. Over time, this can lead to a toxic atmosphere that drains your energy, saps your motivation, and affects your mental well-being. It's not just about avoiding confrontation with them. It's about understanding the long-term consequences of being in close proximity to someone who cannot manage their emotions. But let's take this a step further and ask ourselves a critical question. How can we apply Stoic wisdom to not only recognize, but also deal with such behavior in a way that protects our peace of mind? The Stoics teach us that we should not allow the behavior of others to disturb our inner tranquility. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and a prominent Stoic, advised, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This quote reminds us that while we cannot control how others act, we have full control over how we respond to them. At this point, you might be asking yourself, how do I deal with such a person without sacrificing my own peace and integrity? The key lies in setting clear boundaries and practicing emotional detachment. Just as the Stoics advised not to let external events disturb your inner calm, you must not allow another person's lack of self-control to dictate your emotional state. When faced with someone who has a quick temper, calmly assert your boundaries. Let them know that while you understand their frustration, their anger will not influence your actions or decisions. By doing so, you protect yourself from their negativity, while also reinforcing your own emotional resilience. Encountering someone with a quick temper is a challenge that tests your ability to remain calm and composed. But with the wisdom of Stoicism as your guide, you can navigate these situations without losing your own inner peace. Remember, the true measure of strength is not in overpowering others, but in mastering yourself. As you move forward in life, keep this lesson in mind. You have the power to control your reactions, to maintain your calm in the face of others' storms, and to live a life guided by reason and tranquility. So, the next time you're faced with someone who overreacts to minor issues, take a deep breath, remind yourself of the Stoic principles, and choose to respond with the calmness and clarity that comes from true inner strength. How will you apply these principles in your own life? And how will you protect your peace in a world filled with quick tempers? The choice is yours, and the power to stay calm, collected, and in control lies within you. Thank you all for taking the time to watch today's video. Your support is a great source of motivation for us to continue sharing knowledge about life and Stoic philosophy. Have you ever encountered someone with the signs we have discussed so far? How did you recognize and deal with the situation? If you are not sure where to start, please share an experience where you have encountered someone you suspected of having bad intentions, or let us know what you think about the signs we have mentioned. 4. Betrayal of trust. Trust is the bedrock upon which every meaningful relationship is built. Whether in business, friendship, or love, trust is the invisible thread that binds people together. But what happens when that trust is shattered? What does it say about the person who breaks it? Now we're diving deep into one of the most telling signs of a malevolent presence in your life, the betrayal of trust. This isn't just about the immediate pain of being lied to or let down. It's about understanding the deeper implications of such actions and recognizing what they reveal about a person's true character. Through the lens of Stoicism, we'll explore why honesty and integrity are non-negotiable virtues and how the betrayal of trust is more than a simple mistake. It's a glaring red flag that shouldn't be ignored. When someone betrays your trust, whether through lies, deceit, or broken promises, it cuts deeper than most other forms of hurt. Trust isn't just given, it's earned, often over years of shared experiences, mutual respect, and unspoken understanding. So when someone chooses to betray that trust, it's not just a momentary lapse in judgment, it's a deliberate act that reveals a fundamental flaw in their character. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "Trust no one unless you have eaten much salt with him." This ancient wisdom highlights the importance of time and shared trials in building trust, but it also serves as a stark reminder that trust, once broken, is not easily mended. But let's pause for a moment and think about the broader implications of betrayal. When someone you trust lies to you or fails to keep a promise, it does more than just damage the relationship. It undermines the very foundation of your interactions with them. It makes you question their motives, their integrity, and even your own judgment. This is where the Stoic value of honesty comes into play. In Stoicism, honesty is not just a virtue, it's a cornerstone of a good life. Without honesty, there can be no real trust, and without trust, relationships become hollow and transactional, rather than being based on genuine mutual respect. Imagine for a moment that you're in a business partnership. Over the years, you've come to rely on your partner's word, believing that you're both working toward the same goals. But then one day you discover that they've been hiding crucial information from you, perhaps making deals behind your back or siphoning off profits. The betrayal isn't just about the money or the business. It's about the realization that this person, whom you believed shared your values, has been deceiving you all along. This kind of betrayal doesn't just hurt. It shakes the very foundation of your professional life. How do you move forward from such a breach of trust? And more importantly, what does this betrayal say about the person who committed it? The answer lies in understanding that betrayal is not just a one-time act but a reflection of deeper, more troubling traits. When someone betrays your trust, it reveals their lack of integrity, their willingness to sacrifice relationships for personal gain, and their disregard for the consequences of their actions on others. In Stoic terms, such a person is failing in their duty to live virtuously. Marcus Aurelius, another great Stoic, wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." This simple yet profound advice underscores the importance of integrity in all our dealings. A person who betrays your trust is, in essence, choosing to abandon this principle, revealing a character that is more concerned with immediate gratification or self-interest than with long-term honor and honesty. In modern life, where relationships are often complicated by distance, digital communication, and competing interests, trust becomes even more vital, and its betrayal even more devastating. Consider how easy it is today to break a promise or tell a lie, especially when so much of our interaction happens online, away from face-to-face accountability. Yet, the consequences of such actions are no less severe. A lie told in a text message, a promise broken over email, or a secret kept in a private chat can destroy a relationship just as thoroughly as if it were done in person. The Stoics remind us that our integrity should not waver based on the medium of our communication or the perceived ease of getting away with deceit. True character, they would argue, is demonstrated in the consistency of our honesty, no matter the circumstances. So what should you do if you find yourself on the receiving end of such a betrayal? First, it's important to recognize the betrayal for what it is, a breach of trust that cannot simply be brushed aside or excused away. It's tempting to forgive and forget, especially if the betrayer is someone you care about deeply. But Stoicism teaches us that we must also be wise and discerning in our relationships. Epictetus advised, "When someone is properly grounded in life, they shouldn't have to look outside themselves for approval." This means that you should not allow the opinions or actions of others, even those who have betrayed you, to dictate your self-worth or your decisions. Instead, you should rely on your own judgment and values to guide your response. In practical terms, this might mean taking a step back from the relationship, reassessing its value, and setting clear boundaries to protect yourself from future harm. It might also involve having a candid conversation with the person who betrayed you, not out of a desire for revenge or retribution, but from a place of seeking understanding and closure. However you choose to respond, the key is to do so from a place of inner strength and clarity, not from a reactionary or emotionally driven place. The Stoic approach is always to maintain your composure, to think rationally about the situation, and to act in a way that aligns with your principles. Betrayal of trust is one of the most painful and revealing experiences you can go through. It's not just about the immediate hurt. It's about what that betrayal says about the other person's character. As you navigate your relationships, remember the Stoic emphasis on honesty and integrity. Hold yourself and those around you to high standards, and don't be afraid to walk away from relationships that don't meet those standards. Trust, once broken, is difficult to rebuild, and often, the best course of action is to learn from the experience and move forward with greater wisdom and discernment. The lesson is clear. Value trust. Cherish it when it's earned, but never be afraid to let go when it's broken. How will you apply these Stoic principles in your life? The choice is yours, and the power to maintain your integrity, no matter what, lies within you. 5. Avoidance of responsibility. Have you ever encountered someone who constantly dodges responsibility, shifting the blame onto others whenever things go wrong? Perhaps you've noticed how such behavior not only disrupts trust, but also severely hampers effective communication. When people refuse to take responsibility for their actions, they create an environment where accountability is non-existent and progress grinds to a halt. In the context of Stoic philosophy, this avoidance of responsibility is not just a minor flaw. It's a significant barrier to personal growth and the cultivation of meaningful relationships. The Stoics, known for their emphasis on self-reflection and moral integrity, understood that true strength lies in owning up to one's actions regardless of the consequences. As Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic Roman emperor, once reflected, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." This powerful quote captures the essence of accountability. Stop making excuses and start taking responsibility for your actions, because that is the path to true character and growth. In today's world, where the blame game seems almost a reflex for many, understanding and addressing this behavior is more important than ever. Let's consider a scenario from modern life. Imagine working in a team where one member consistently avoids responsibility. Every time a project goes off track, they find a way to point fingers at others, claiming that the fault lies with anyone but themselves. Over time, this not only frustrates the team, but also erodes trust. Colleagues start to feel demoralized, communication breaks down, and the team's productivity takes a hit. This isn't just about the failure of one person to own their mistakes. It's about the ripple effect that avoidance of responsibility has on everyone involved. The atmosphere becomes toxic, and what could have been a constructive environment for collaboration turns into a minefield of resentment and unspoken grievances. Now, let's ask a critical question. Why do people avoid responsibility in the first place? Often, it's rooted in fear. The fear of admitting fault, the fear of consequences, or even the fear of appearing weak or inadequate. But here's where Stoicism offers a profound insight. Real strength is found not in the avoidance of these fears but in facing them head-on. The Stoics believe that by acknowledging our mistakes and taking responsibility for them, we pave the way for genuine self-improvement. After all, how can you grow if you're unwilling to confront your own shortcomings? By shirking responsibility, individuals deny themselves the opportunity to learn and evolve, trapping themselves in a cycle of blame and avoidance that ultimately stunts their development. This brings us to the next important point. How should you deal with someone who consistently avoids responsibility? The Stoic approach would be to maintain your own integrity while encouraging accountability in others. This doesn't mean confronting them with anger or frustration, which only perpetuates negativity, but rather engaging them in a way that promotes self-reflection. You might start by calmly pointing out the consequences of their actions, or lack thereof, and how it impacts the group or relationship. Encourage them to see the situation from a broader perspective, asking open-ended questions like, "What do you think could have been done differently?" Or, "How do you think we can improve this moving forward?" These questions are not just about assigning blame. They're about fostering a sense of ownership and encouraging a shift in mindset from avoidance to accountability. Consider how this principle applies in personal relationships as well. Imagine being in a partnership where one person never admits when they're wrong, constantly deflecting any criticism or responsibility. Over time, this not only creates tension, but also damages the very foundation of the relationship: trust. Without trust, communication falters, and resentment builds, leading to an unhealthy dynamic where problems are never truly resolved. The Stoics would advise approaching such situations with a balance of compassion and firmness. It's about expressing how the avoidance of responsibility is affecting the relationship, while also setting clear boundaries and expectations moving forward. Epictetus, another great Stoic philosopher, said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In the context of dealing with someone who avoids responsibility, this means taking control of your response, choosing to address the issue constructively rather than allowing it to fester and harm the relationship further. In the professional world, this same approach can lead to a healthier work environment. When leaders model accountability and encourage their teams to do the same, they create a culture of trust and mutual respect. Mistakes are seen not as catastrophes to be hidden, but as opportunities for learning and improvement. This is the kind of environment where people feel empowered to take risks, to innovate, and to grow, because they know that even if they fail, they will be supported in their efforts to make things right. This aligns perfectly with the Stoic belief in continuous self-improvement and the idea that every challenge, including the challenge of taking responsibility, is an opportunity to practice virtue and grow stronger in character. So, what's the takeaway here? The avoidance of responsibility is more than just a nuisance. It's a behavior that undermines trust, communication, and personal growth. Whether in the workplace, in personal relationships, or even in your own life, it's crucial to recognize and address this issue head-on. By applying Stoic principles, encouraging self-reflection, promoting accountability, and maintaining your own integrity, you can navigate these situations more effectively and foster healthier, more productive relationships. Remember, as Marcus Aurelius reminded us, the essence of being a good person isn't about debating the idea but living it. So the next time you encounter someone avoiding responsibility, ask yourself, how can I help guide them and myself toward greater accountability and growth? The answer lies not in avoidance, but in action, in the courage to take responsibility and the wisdom to help others do the same. 6. Isolation. When someone in your life subtly trying to distance you from those you care about, your friends, your family, or even your colleagues, perhaps they make snide remarks about your loved ones, question the intentions of those close to you, or constantly demand your time in a way that leaves little room for anyone else. This behavior, though it might seem harmless at first, is a powerful and dangerous tactic known as isolation. It's often used by those who seek to control others, slowly eroding your social support system until you find yourself increasingly dependent on the very person who's been cutting you off from the rest of the world. This isn't just a red flag. It's a blazing signal that something is profoundly wrong. Isolation is a tactic as old as time, used by those who understand that by severing your ties to others, they can gain greater influence over your thoughts, decisions, and life. When someone tries to isolate you, they are not just trying to monopolize your time. They are attempting to make you more vulnerable to their control. Without the support and perspective of friends and family, you may start to question your own judgment, rely more heavily on the isolator for guidance, and eventually lose sight of your own values and desires. This is why the Stoics, who placed immense value on community and social connections, would view such behavior as deeply troubling. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, reminded us that we are made for cooperation, like feet, like hands, like eyelids, like the rows of the upper and lower teeth. This profound observation highlights the importance of our connections with others, not just for our happiness, but for our very function as human beings. Consider this in the context of modern life. Imagine you're in a relationship where your partner subtly but persistently discourages you from spending time with your friends. They might say things like, "Why do you need to see them so often?" Or, "Don't you think they're a bad influence on you?" Over time, you might find yourself pulling away from these friendships, not because you want to, but because you've been led to believe that it's what's best for your relationship. This is a classic scenario of isolation, an effort to cut you off from your support network so that the isolator can exert more control over you. It's a manipulative strategy that can be devastating if not recognized and addressed. But why do people resort to isolation as a means of control? Often, it stems from insecurity or a desire for power. Those who isolate others are typically afraid of losing control or fear that their influence might be diluted by the presence of others who offer different perspectives or support. By isolating you, they ensure that their voice is the loudest in your life, making it easier to manipulate your thoughts and actions. This is where Stoic philosophy offers a powerful antidote. Stoicism teaches us that true strength comes from within, from our own rational mind, and not from the control of others. Epictetus, another great Stoic philosopher, famously said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." This quote is a reminder that your freedom, both mentally and emotionally, is your own to safeguard, and allowing someone to isolate you from others is a direct threat to that freedom. Let's think about how you can protect yourself from such manipulation. The first step is awareness, recognizing the signs of isolation before they take a deeper hold on your life. Ask yourself, has someone in your life been trying to monopolize your time, or have they been subtly discouraging your interactions with others? Have you started to feel more dependent on this person, or noticed that your world has shrunk since they've been in it? These are critical questions that can help you identify if isolation is at play. The next step is to reassert your connections with others. Reach out to friends and family, even if it feels difficult or awkward. Rebuilding these connections is crucial, not just for your own mental and emotional well-being, but also for breaking the cycle of isolation that someone may be trying to impose on you. In addition, consider the Stoic approach to community and social bonds. The Stoics believed that we are naturally social beings, meant to live in harmony with others. They valued the wisdom and support that comes from being part of a larger community. By reconnecting with others, you're not just defying the isolator's control, you're also aligning yourself with the Stoic ideal of living in accordance with nature. Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, emphasized the importance of friendships when he said, "One of the most beautiful qualities of true friendship is to understand and to be understood." This quote underscores the deep value of mutual understanding and support that friendships provide, something that no manipulator should ever be allowed to take from you. Now, as you reflect on your own life, consider this. How strong are your social connections? Are there areas where you've allowed someone to come between you and those you care about? And most importantly, what can you do today to strengthen the bonds that matter most to you? These open-ended questions aren't just for contemplation, they are calls to action. Your relationships are a vital part of your life, and they deserve to be protected from anyone who seeks to undermine them for their own gain. Isolation is a powerful tool used by those who wish to control others, but it's a tool that can be disarmed by awareness, action, and the wisdom of Stoicism. By recognizing the signs of isolation, reasserting your connections with others, and embracing the Stoic values of community and cooperation, you can protect yourself from being controlled by someone who does not have your best interests at heart. Remember, your strength lies not just in your independence, but in your ability to maintain and nurture the relationships that support and uplift you. So take a moment to reach out to someone you care about today. Reaffirm that connection, and in doing so, reaffirm your commitment to living a life of integrity, freedom, and true community. If you've made it this far, you're someone who values wisdom and awareness. Drop a comment saying, "I see clearly," to show you're committed to recognizing and navigating the challenges around you. Stay tuned, there's much more to uncover. 7. Using personal information against you. Trust is the foundation of any strong relationship, whether it's a friendship, partnership, or even a professional connection. But what happens when someone takes that trust and twists it, using your personal information not to support you, but to manipulate or harm you? To continue, we'll explore one of the most insidious signs that someone in your life might have ill intentions: using your personal information against you. This isn't just a simple betrayal. It's a profound breach of trust that can have far-reaching consequences. Through the lens of Stoic philosophy, we'll examine why it's crucial to be cautious with whom you share your deepest thoughts and feelings, and how to protect yourself from those who might use your vulnerabilities as a weapon. When someone uses your personal information to manipulate or harm you, it strikes at the very heart of trust. This kind of betrayal is particularly devastating because it often comes from those closest to us, people we've confided in, shared our fears and dreams with, and believed had our best interests at heart. But when that trust is broken, when our deepest thoughts and feelings are weaponized against us, it's a violation that goes beyond mere deceit. It's a calculated act that reveals a darker side of human nature, a side that Stoicism warns us to be vigilant against. As Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, once said, "It is a great thing to know the season for speech and the season for silence." This wisdom reminds us that discretion in sharing our innermost thoughts is not just a virtue, but a necessity in safeguarding ourselves from those who might misuse that information. In today's world, where personal information is often shared freely through social media, text messages, and even casual conversations, the risk of such a betrayal is greater than ever. Think about the times you've shared something deeply personal with someone, a fear, a mistake, a secret, and how vulnerable that made you feel. Now, imagine if that person later used that information to manipulate you, to gain leverage in an argument, or to damage your reputation. The pain of that betrayal is magnified by the intimacy of the information shared. It's not just the act of betrayal itself, but the knowledge that someone you trusted has deliberately chosen to hurt you in such a personal way. This is why Stoicism advises caution in sharing personal details, especially with those whose character and intentions have not been thoroughly tested over time. Consider a scenario where you've confided in a colleague about a mistake you made at work, trusting that they'll keep it to themselves. But later, during a disagreement, or in a bid for promotion, they subtly leak that information to others, making you look bad while bolstering their own position. This kind of manipulation is not only unethical, but corrosive to the workplace environment. It creates a culture of distrust and fear, where people are afraid to be honest or vulnerable because they don't know who might use their words against them. The Stoic approach to this situation would be to first recognize the betrayal for what it is, a clear sign that this person lacks the integrity and moral compass that is necessary for a trustworthy relationship. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic emperor, reminds us, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." This means that while you may be hurt by the betrayal, the right response is not to retaliate in kind, but to rise above it, maintaining your own integrity and values. In personal relationships, this kind of betrayal can be even more damaging. Imagine sharing a deep insecurity with a partner, only to have them later use it against you in an argument, twisting your words to make you feel small or insignificant. This isn't just a breach of trust, it's a form of emotional manipulation that can erode your self-esteem and sense of worth over time. The Stoics teach us that we must be careful about whom we allow into our inner circle, and that we should reserve our deepest thoughts and feelings for those who have proven themselves worthy of that trust. Epictetus, another great Stoic philosopher, advises, "Keep silence for the most part, and speak only when you must, and then briefly." This counsel isn't about suppressing your voice, but about understanding the power of your words and the potential consequences of sharing them with the wrong people. So how can you protect yourself from this kind of betrayal? The first step is to be discerning about whom you share your personal information with. Not everyone who smiles at you or offers a listening ear has your best interests at heart. It's important to observe how people handle not just your information, but the information of others. Do they gossip? Do they break confidences easily? These are red flags that should make you think twice before revealing too much about yourself. Another key step is to maintain a sense of emotional independence. While it's natural to seek connection and share your life with others, Stoicism teaches that we should never be so dependent on another person's approval or understanding that we hand over the keys to our emotional well-being. By keeping certain aspects of your life private and cultivating inner strength, you reduce the risk of being manipulated or hurt by those who might seek to use your personal information against you. In modern life, where oversharing has become commonplace and privacy often feels like a relic of the past, these Stoic principles are more relevant than ever. It's easy to forget that not everyone who asks how you're doing truly cares about your well-being. Some are simply fishing for information that they can later use to their advantage. By practicing discretion and being mindful of what and with whom you share, you take control of your narrative and protect yourself from those who would twist your words to suit their own ends. The lesson here is clear. While openness and honesty are important, they must be tempered with wisdom and discernment. Trust is a precious commodity, and once broken, it's incredibly difficult to restore. Using personal information against someone is one of the most egregious forms of betrayal, because it targets the very vulnerabilities you've entrusted to another. This behavior not only damages relationships, but also reveals a fundamental lack of integrity in the person who engages in it. By following the teachings of Stoicism, being cautious with whom you share your innermost thoughts, maintaining emotional independence, and responding to betrayal with integrity, you can protect yourself from this kind of manipulation and live a life guided by wisdom and resilience. As you go forward, ask yourself, who in your life has truly earned your trust, and how can you ensure that your personal information is shared only with those who will honor it? The answers to these questions will help you navigate relationships with greater clarity and confidence, ensuring that your trust is placed in the right hands. 8. Lack of remorse. Have you ever encountered someone who, after committing a wrongdoing, shows no sign of regret, no flicker of remorse? Perhaps they dismiss their actions as insignificant or, worse, justify them with cold rationality, as if their behavior was entirely acceptable. This lack of remorse is more than just a troubling character trait. It's a clear indicator of someone who has rejected the essential process of ethical reflection and personal growth. When a person shows no remorse, they are essentially denying the fundamental human capacity for self-awareness and moral integrity, traits that are not only central to Stoic philosophy, but also to the fabric of a healthy and functioning society. As Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, once wrote, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth, by which no one was ever truly harmed." This quote highlights the Stoic commitment to self-improvement and the importance of recognizing and correcting our wrongs. In our daily lives, we often encounter individuals who lack this critical sense of moral responsibility. Whether it's in the workplace, in social circles, or even within our own families, these individuals can create environments that are toxic and damaging. Think about a situation where a colleague blatantly takes credit for your work or undermines you in front of others. When confronted, they may shrug it off, offering no apology or acknowledgement of their wrongdoing. Instead, they might even attempt to justify their actions, suggesting that it was simply part of the game, or that you're being overly sensitive. This lack of remorse isn't just frustrating, it's dangerous. It suggests that the person lacks the basic moral compass needed to navigate relationships and social interactions with integrity. But why is the absence of remorse so significant? Remorse is not just an emotional response. It's a vital part of ethical reflection. When we feel remorse, we are acknowledging that our actions have caused harm, and this recognition is the first step toward making amends and improving our behavior. Without remorse, there is no impetus for change, no recognition of the need to do better. This is why the Stoics place such a high value on self-awareness and moral integrity. To live a good life, according to Stoicism, is to constantly strive to align our actions with our values, to correct our mistakes, and to grow as individuals. A person who shows no remorse is effectively rejecting this path, choosing instead to remain stagnant in their moral development. Now let's consider how this plays out in a modern context. Imagine you're in a relationship with someone who frequently hurts your feelings, perhaps through insensitive comments or thoughtless actions. Each time they dismiss your concerns, refusing to acknowledge the pain they've caused. Over time, you start to feel as if your feelings don't matter, as if you're being unreasonable for expecting basic respect and consideration. This is the insidious effect of being with someone who lacks remorse. Their inability to reflect on their behavior and make necessary changes erodes the trust and connection that are essential to any healthy relationship. How do you deal with such a person? The first step is recognizing that their lack of remorse is not your fault. It's a reflection of their own moral shortcomings, not a measure of your worth or the validity of your feelings. Stoicism teaches us that while we cannot control the actions of others, we can control our response to them. This means setting clear boundaries and not allowing someone's lack of remorse to dictate your self-esteem or the quality of your life. As Epictetus wisely advised, it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. If someone consistently shows no remorse for their wrongdoings, it may be time to reassess their place in your life. Do they add value, or do they contribute to your suffering? Are they helping you grow, or are they holding you back? These are difficult questions, but they are necessary for maintaining your own moral integrity and emotional well-being. It's also important to remember that a lack of remorse is a choice to ignore the moral implications of one's actions. This choice reveals a deeper unwillingness to engage in the kind of self-examination that is crucial for personal growth. In a society that often rewards outward success and overlooks ethical behavior, it's easy for individuals to prioritize their own needs and desires over the well-being of others. But this is precisely why Stoicism is so relevant today. It calls us back to a higher standard, reminding us that true success is not measured by wealth or power, but by the integrity with which we live our lives. Those who show no remorse after wrongdoing are not just lacking in empathy, they are actively rejecting the process of becoming better human beings. Encountering someone who shows no remorse is a clear sign of a deeper moral and ethical deficiency. This behavior not only disrupts relationships but also hinders the possibility of personal and communal growth. The Stoic emphasis on self-awareness and moral integrity offers a powerful framework for understanding and addressing this issue. By recognizing the significance of remorse, setting healthy boundaries, and focusing on our own responses, we can protect ourselves from the negative influence of those who refuse to reflect on their actions. As you navigate your relationships, both personal and professional, keep in mind the value of moral integrity and the importance of surrounding yourself with people who are committed to growth and self-improvement. Ask yourself, are the people in your life helping you become the best version of yourself, or are they dragging you down with their lack of remorse? The answer will guide you in making choices that align with your values and lead to a more fulfilling and meaningful life. 9. Disrespecting boundaries. Boundaries, those invisible lines that define our personal space, our limits, and our sense of self, are essential to maintaining a healthy and balanced life. Yet we all know someone who constantly disrespects these boundaries, pushing beyond what is comfortable and appropriate, as if your autonomy is merely an obstacle in their path. This behavior is more than just rude. It's a blatant disregard for your rights and well-being. When someone continually violates your personal boundaries, they are sending a clear message. Your needs, your comfort, and your autonomy are not as important as their desires. This kind of disrespect can erode your sense of self and leave you feeling powerless and diminished. But here's the truth. Your boundaries are your right, and no one has the authority to cross them without your consent. Stoicism, the ancient philosophy that emphasizes rationality, self-control, and personal integrity, offers valuable insights into why setting and maintaining boundaries is not just a personal preference, but a necessity for your well-being. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." This profound statement reminds us that the way we think and the choices we make, including the boundaries we set, directly shape who we are. When we allow others to violate our boundaries, we are essentially letting them dictate the color of our soul, our very essence. It's a form of surrender that can have lasting effects on our mental and emotional health. But why is it so crucial to uphold these boundaries, and what does it say about a person who refuses to respect them? First, let's understand that boundaries are not just about keeping others out. They're about protecting what's inside. Your boundaries define your values, your comfort zone, and your sense of identity. When someone disrespects your boundaries, they are not just intruding into your personal space, they are challenging your right to define yourself. This can happen in various ways. Perhaps a friend repeatedly pressures you to share private information you're not comfortable divulging, or a colleague constantly interrupts your work, disregarding your need for focus and concentration. Over time, these small acts of boundary crossing can accumulate, leading to feelings of frustration, resentment, and even burnout. The Stoic approach to this situation is clear. Boundaries are a reflection of your self-respect, and maintaining them is an act of self-preservation. But why do some people persistently violate boundaries? Often it's because they are focused solely on their own needs and desires, with little regard for the impact of their actions on others. This lack of empathy and respect is a red flag, a sign that this person may not value your autonomy or your well-being. Epictetus, another great Stoic philosopher, advised, "No person is free who is not a master of himself." This quote emphasizes the importance of self-mastery, not just in terms of controlling one's impulses, but also in respecting the autonomy of others. A person who constantly disrespects boundaries is someone who has not mastered themselves. They are ruled by their own desires, at the expense of others. In a modern context, consider the ways in which technology has blurred the lines of personal boundaries. Social media, for instance, can make it seem as though everyone has a right to your time, your thoughts, and your personal life. Perhaps you've experienced a situation where someone continually sends you messages at all hours, expecting immediate responses, or where a coworker invades your personal time by contacting you outside of work hours. These actions, while often dismissed as minor, can have a significant impact on your mental health and work-life balance. The Stoic response to such boundary violations is to assertively and calmly communicate your limits. It's about reclaiming your space and ensuring that others understand and respect the lines you've drawn. But setting boundaries is not always easy, especially when it involves people we care about. You might worry about offending someone or creating conflict. However, Stoicism teaches that true friendship and respect are built on mutual understanding and consideration. If someone truly values you, they will respect your boundaries, even if it means adjusting their behavior. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, said, "True happiness, is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future. This quote serves as a reminder that by setting boundaries, you are protecting your present peace of mind, rather than allowing anxiety and discomfort to take root due to others' disregard for your limits. Now let's bring this back to you. How do you respond when someone disrespects your boundaries? Do you brush it off, allowing the behavior to continue? Or do you take a stand, reinforcing your limits? These are important questions because your response sets the tone for how others will treat you in the future. Boundaries are not just about keeping the wrong people out. They are about inviting the right people in. Those who respect you, who understand the importance of your limits, and who contribute positively to your life. If someone consistently crosses the lines you've set, it's essential to communicate clearly and firmly. Let them know that their behavior is unacceptable and that your boundaries are non-negotiable. The consistent violation of personal boundaries is a clear sign of disrespect for your autonomy and well-being. This behavior, whether intentional or not, can have serious consequences on your mental and emotional health. The teachings of Stoicism remind us that setting and maintaining boundaries is not just an act of self-defense, but a crucial element of living a life of integrity and peace. By understanding the importance of boundaries, asserting them confidently, and surrounding yourself with people who respect them, you are taking control of your life and ensuring that you live according to your values. As you reflect on your own boundaries, ask yourself, are there areas in your life where your boundaries are being disrespected? And if so, what steps can you take today to reinforce those boundaries and protect your well-being? The answers to these questions will guide you in making choices that honor your autonomy and lead to a more fulfilling, balanced life. Thank you for joining me today at Stoic in Your Life. Understanding these 9 evident signs and applying Stoic principles to address them can significantly enhance your personal growth and happiness. By recognizing and taking action against negativity around you, you not only protect your peace but also strengthen your commitment to a life of integrity, wisdom, and resilience. If you found this video helpful, please share your thoughts in the comments below and let us know how you plan to apply these lessons in your daily life. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to continue your journey with us. Together, we can cultivate a life of virtue and tranquility. Until next time, stay wise and stay serene.